American son. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe!
Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. So last week when we were going over like the Yojo June fan stream and talking about the new Valaverse figures that were coming out and the Crimson Moon, at some point it dawned on me that I have a lot of figures that I still haven't pulled out of the packaging, that I still haven't unboxed yet. And while some of those are just going to be a wash, I'm not going to go back and redo and open up all of them on camera. One that I definitely wanted to take a look at with you was this one, Agent Helix. There are a number of reasons that I really like Helix, and her backstory, both in canon and in reality, is a little interesting. That she actually originated as an unlockable character for the G.I.Joe Rise of Cobra video game tie-in. As a matter of fact, her name Helix comes from the production studio that designed and made that game, Double Helix. So that's where her name comes from. Once she made the transition over to the comics, though, she has a very checkered backstory. That first of all, she's one of the characters in the line that doesn't have a real name. It's classified. Nobody knows what it is. They just know her as Helix or Agent Helix. Second, she is the victim of childhood trafficking. And she was rescued by Snake Eyes. And she started to learn how to fight just by watching Snake Eyes during the escape when he was rescuing her. As a matter of fact, she fought beside him, even though she was, I think, a teenager at the time. And I'm not going to go into the whole story of what her deal is. I could do an entire video on Helix by herself, but she has this ability to pick up fighting styles, learn how to fight just by watching people. Think of her as a non-superpowered version of Taskmaster, which now makes me want to get the Taskmaster figure that Marvel Legends just came out with and put him with Cobra or maybe the Iron Grenadiers, because that would be a cool matchup between these two. Also, when she was younger, she was involved in underground cage fighting, sometimes to the death. So there you go. I don't even think she is officially part of the military, but she's part of the Joe team, working as an operative. But honestly, that's nothing new. They have plenty of operatives that aren't actually members of the military. Dawn is one of them. I think Jinx is one of them. And speaking of Dawn, in the comics, she works with Dawn a lot, or at least has worked with Dawn a lot. As a matter of fact, she was instrumental in the infiltration of the Cobra Casino on Cobra Island at the end of the IDW run. So her release really makes me hope that we have a Dawn figure coming out sometime soon. I also like her because she is a new character from the comics. Well, newer from the comics. She had a figure in the Rise of Cobra line, but that was it. So her in Classified is very cool. It makes me hope that we're going to get Dawn. Makes me hope that we're going to get Sherlock. I just really hope that like the new comic figures start to make an appearance in the Classified line. Now, since Skybound has taken over, I don't think we've seen Helix in A Real American Hero, and I don't believe she's shown up in the Energon universe yet, but I don't think the mainline comic for that has come out. I think they're still working on like a bunch of mini-series. But without further ado, let's stop the rambling and let's just get to why you're here. Let's take a look at the packaging. That this is one of the last of the windowless packaging, that we have a real nice picture of her up front. You see the SWAT van in back. We have a real nice animation still of her over here. We have her name and the logo at the bottom. We have, of course, an image of her accessories, her dual pistols that she uses a lot in the comic. This Gurkha-looking machete / knife, whatever you want to call it. We'll have to wait and see how big it is when we get her out. Twin katana. I know she's used a katana in the comics. I don't think she's ever used two, but you know, Classified, if they're going to give her one, they're going to give her two, which also brings us to these two wrist-mounted things. I think they're cool. We'll take a look at them when we get her open. I don't believe she's ever used these in the comics, though. Maybe she used them in the video game. I don't know. I never played that game. Or maybe these are just something unique to the Classified line. So when we turn it on the side, we have a full length shot of that nice still that we had up front. On the back, we have a look at the figure with all of her accessories, some highlights, her tracker thing right there, and her bandage tattoo on her wrist. Then we have our QR code. She's 104 in the line, G.I. Joe up top, barcode on the bottom. So without further ado, let's just crack this open and let's take a look at Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Agent Helix. Okay, here she is out of the box, and putting the tape measure next to her, we can see that Helix is 5 7/8 to the top of her head. Now taking a closer look at her, we can see that there is some reuse with Helix here, that the legs are from the first wave Scarlet. They're just a repaint of those legs from the hip to the crotch piece all the way down to her boots. Her upper torso, however, is completely new, along with a new head sculpt. And while I don't hate this head sculpt, I don't think it's very representative of the character. Also, if you even just take a look at the image on the box, that's not really her. It's not bad. I just don't think they did a really good job of capturing what she really looks like. The other issue that I have is her hair. This is way blonde with like one dark strand for like her bangs, and then you can see some dark hairs, some of her roots showing at the part. This just looks like it's a dye job washing out or growing out, which I kind of picture Helix, and I may be remembering it wrong, but I kind of remember her having like basically black hair with like some really heavy blonde streaks through it, not just predominantly blonde like this. And you can see like even some black hair showing underneath at the back. I just think they went too blonde with her. I think they could have put more black hair in there with just like the blonde streaks going through it. The torso, however, I dig this new torso, how she sort of has like this armored piece right in here and the armor on the back. She has the harness, the shoulder straps, all of this. I really dig the look of her. I do like the character. I just think this whole deal right here, they could have done a better job. And she has her tattoo for the Band-Aid right here. Once again, I'm not really going to get into it too much, but this ties into basically her backstory. And yeah, there's been like, I've read the comics, and I even have like conflicting thoughts on what this is supposed to do. There's even some that theorize that there's like a tracking unit underneath here, that's how they track her underneath the tattoo. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but she also has a new belt piece right here that we have a loop on back that is going to hold her knife. So I dig the character. I dig the coloring. I really like how she has this bright yellow and then just everything else is like dark colors. I think they did a good job on her. I just wish this was a little bit different. But speaking of this, let's just check out her articulation, that her head will do a full 360 spin. She can look up better than most. She can look down fairly well. She has not a whole lot of tilt side to side. She can go that way. Doesn't really go that way too much. Oh, one thing, taking a look at the eyes. Like, I do like that the eyes are looking forward on mine. Her arms will come up to 90. They'll do a full 360 spin. She has a butterfly joint that is basically for show only. There's not a whole lot of travel right there. And even the little bit of travel that you do get, it just pops right back into place. She has the bicep swivel, double jointed elbows with some really good travel, but some really tight joints. The figure's a year old, I think, so maybe sitting in the box all this time has kind of tightened her up. Wrists swivel, wrists hinge up and down because both hands are trigger hands because she is a dual wielder. Let's get her arms out of the way. She has this ab cut right here that will let her do a full 360 spin. She can lean back fairly well, but it doesn't take much to start to see the joint and the gap right there. She comes forward not too much. She does have a ball joint at the waist that also lets her do a full 360 spin. That, whoop, her belt's getting twisted up. That will let her go back slightly as well. That will let her lean forward, oh, not too much. And as far as the side to side goes, there's not much there, but working the two in conjunction, you can get some decent movement there. She has the drop down hips, just like every other Joe does. Legs come out to there. No surprise, these are Scarlett's legs. We know their limitations. They'll come up to 90 in the forward, go back to there in the back. Has a thigh cut, has the double jointed knees with some decent travel. The vents of her boots get in their own way. Has the boot cut. Ankles will rock back. Ankles will rock forward fairly well. And she has a forward-facing pin for some rocker. Taking a look at her accessories, the first thing we're going to look at is her signature 10mm pistols. And to be completely honest, I didn't know there was such a thing as 10mm. Now, most of her accessories, pretty much everything except the Gurkha look-alike, it comes in twos. So she does have two of these with the very extended magazines. That looks cool here, but when you put them in her holsters, which we'll take a look at pretty soon, they look a little ridiculous. She has the laser sighting down here on the underbarrel, which is very cool, and both pistols are bored out for blast effects. The magazine does not come out. Also, this was made when the Joe weapons were very gummy, so there's a lot of bend, especially in this magazine down here. But she does have the twin holsters, like I said, that you can put them in there. They fit tight, too. These holsters are tight. Let me grab the other pistol. And we slide that in. Get in there. And you see what I mean? That, like, the magazines really protrude from the twin holsters. Like, they look cool in her hand. Let me get one in her grip right here. The magazine does tend to bend when you try and put it in there. But once you get it in and you twist, get it in and you twist, like, it is sized well to her grip, and she does look good holding it. It's just when it's in the holster that extended mag looks a little ridiculous. But that is her signature weapons, which is what makes me curious as to why they gave her the wrist contraptions, which we'll be taking a look at next. And here they are, these wrist things, which, like I said, I never played Rise of Cobra, so I don't know if these were a gimmick from the video game or if Classified just decided to give them to her. I do not remember her using these in the comics. Of course, I do not have every comic from her origin, but I gotta think that she just used the pistols the most. Even when she went with, she wasn't part of the Arashikage clan, but she did run with the Arashikage clan during the whole snake hunt story arc. And when everybody, like, put their swords in and, like, crossed blades in the whole motion of, you know, we're all in this together, Scarlett set her crossbow in there, and Helix just laid the barrel of one of her 10mm in there. So, like, I don't know where these come from. They're kind of cool, though, that, like, you see she has these bare spots on her wrists. These just clamp right on there, and she just wears them like that. And they do have a lot of range of movement, and they can extend out. She can use them like blades. I don't get where these come from or what advantage these seem like they would be a little bit more of a hindrance in battle than anything. But she has two of them, like she has two of everything. And I'll be the first to admit they look cool. I just don't think, I just don't think she used them in the comics or the game. I think this is just Hasbro wanting to give her a gimmick. Now, as I stated, she also comes with a pair of katana, and these we've seen before. The first time we saw these molds, I think, was in the Snake Eyes movie Storm Shadow figure. that the blades are black. These were dipped in black lacquered paint, it looks like, for the blade. And then the handles were just painted yellow, and there's a messy paint job on mine. You can see that there's like overpaint right here on the blades. You can also see that there's some globbing on this side of the handle. You can see that the black of the undercoat is starting to show through on this side of the handle. And on the other one, it's kind of more of the same, that the black is shining through. I don't think there's any, well, there's some overpaint, not nearly as much as the first one. But, I mean, the black and the yellow looks cool. I mean, I'm a Pittsburgh boy, Penguins, Steelers, black and gold, down with it. But they could have done a better job, I think. Or I would have rather have just seen the blades silvered. I may end up swapping out these swords for some other ones, just because the paint deco on these is so ugly. Now, she can grip them very well. Even though she has 2 trigger hands, she does hold them very secure, which I was happy about, because I was really worried with those trigger grips that she wasn't going to have a tight grip on them, but she does. And we also have this piece right here, which we've also seen before, because this also came with the Storm Shadow figure, that this is basically her back sheath. That this just plugs right in. I think this is going to be part of Jinx, too. I think Jinx is getting this to hold her swords. But that just goes right on the back. And then these slide right in. I do feel like she is kind of small for this, because her hair is hitting the top of it. But there she goes. Once again, classified figures being able to, like, basically wear all of their kit on them. Whoops. And finally, here's her big knife, and I swear we've seen this with somebody else, but I can't put my finger on it right now. But I do dig this sort of like Gurkha-looking design. I think this is really cool. I think it fits her okay. I would have liked to have seen her more with like a tactical knife rather than something like this. I mean, you've already given her the wrist blades and the katana. I feel like something more tack like a K-bar would have been better for her. But we got this, and this does fit on this loop right here. I don't know if you can see that. That's on the back of her belt, that you can just slide it right up in. And there you go. She has everything decked out. She is a killing machine. Look at all these blades. I really, seriously, if anybody knows the origins of these, let me know. And now for size comparison, here she is beside Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified Series Commando Snake Eyes, or as I now call him, Throwdown, and the retro card Scarlet. Here she is beside Valaverse Action Force Desert Rat and Warpath Eclipse. Here she is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends World War II Captain America from the Rider series and Daredevil Elektra. Here she is beside the Mezco 112 Collection Snake Eyes and the Medicom Mafex Marvel Psylocke. Here she is beside Lanyard Toys, City Hunter Predator, and Xenomorph Drone. Here she is beside NECA Toys, Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke, and Grimsword. And finally, here she is beside Airborne and me from the G.I. Joe Steel Corps. I appreciate that they brought out Helix as an action figure. I appreciate that they dipped their toes into the comic book line of bringing forth characters to the Classified series that don't really have a connection to the vintage line and have only existed in the comics, don't even have like a connection to the animated series. Between this and someone like Wolf Spider, who is a completely new character, I really hope the Classified line starts doing things like this. Don't get me wrong, you know I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. You know I love the vintage line. But I really like them bringing new characters, new faces, just new ideas into the line to help move it forward, as well as still, you know, paying homage to what came before. For example, I'm really hoping that eventually we get a Joel Colton figure in the Classified line. But at the same time, I love that Helix exists in this line as well. I like her as a character in the comic. They could have easily made her like another overpowered character, which they have a tendency to do with their hand-to-hand martial art characters. As a matter of fact, they were kind of alluding to, when they first brought her out, that she was autistic, and that's why she was able to do like all of the mental calculations that she can do. Thankfully, that was written out when Hawk blatantly said, no, that's not the case. She just has a brain abnormality. We don't know why she can do the things that she can do, which I like that. We need to stop making autism a superpower, okay? But I do like her uniqueness in the team, that she's not very friendly. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She's a very no-nonsense, go-get-'em kind of, I was about to say soldier, but she's not a soldier, agent. And like Scarlet has decked her, and it's like she has a very layered relationship with the Joes, and she's a very complex character, I feel, in the comic. In figure form, I think they did a really good job. Of course, there's going to be some reuse. That doesn't surprise me at this point. The pistols are new sculpts. I appreciate that. The katana could have been better just on the paint job. The sculpt, I don't mind. We've seen those before, but the deco could have used some work. The wrist blades, I really feel like they just thought they needed to give her a G.I. Joe gimmick. The more I played around with her, the more I looked at her through this video, the less of an issue I have with the face sculpt, but I still think the hair is just way too blonde. I know Helix has been sitting around for about a year. I know this is very late coming, but this was one that I found that had not been unboxed yet, that I definitely wanted to do on camera, just because of how unique she is, both to the classified line and just like how she came about to be part of G.I. Joe. Hello, please hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. If you already are a subscriber to the channel, big thanks to you. Leave a comment down below letting us know what you thought of today's episode. If you would like to help the channel grow and you're in a position to do so, please consider becoming a channel member or a Ko-fi subscriber, where for $1 a month you get access to member perks, including our monthly member exclusive. This month is the Mezco 112 Snake Eyes. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.